Beautiful people. We are live again here, broadcasting from another place in paradise. It's actually just starting to thunder. There is a storm that's coming up, so that is absolutely amazing. I love storms because for me, storms give so much life force. There is so much power in the thunder and the lightning. And Earth really loves to receive all the lightning that comes from the higher realms. And I love it too. There is so much plasma that then is coming into our field. And we really use on Earth, we can really use the plasma as a source of electricity. So I'm here today again with you, and I want to talk a little bit more about the source codes. The source codes is an amazingly innovative system that is based on futuristic technology, that is based on contemporary healing modalities, and also that is based on ancestral healing modalities. So, what we do is we have a practical, hands on, applied system that we can use for ourselves and also for clients in order to upgrade, to reset, to recalibrate our body, mind, spirit complex. As I've been talking yesterday, it's very important that we address all the parts of the physical experience. First of all, it's important to know that all is mind. Mind governs matter. Everything is in the mind of the all. That means that we are part of the mind of the all. I've also talked about that we are like parts of creator, parts of source, parts of prime creator that come into physicality to experience what it is to be, quote, in separation, what it is to be in polarity. And the importance of the source codes is working with primary with our core network system. What is the core network system? It's the central nervous system. We don't call it anymore the nervous system because what we really want to do is, and that's what we're working on, and that's what actually is already in place, is a new dictionary. It's almost like a new vademecum. In medicine, there is the vademecum, that's that book with all the words that are used in medicine. Now, we are now installing a new vademecum that has a total different paradigm and different words. So there is no confusion. There is clarity about what we're talking about and where we're coming from. So now I'm talking about the core network system. It's imperative that our core network system that we find inside of the vertebral column, that it is aligned with source consciousness. So in the source codes, we do a lot of exercises. We learn a lot of techniques to really align the spine, to align the network system, and all the other subsystems that we have. Why do I say subsystems? Because for us in Source University, the core network system is the primary system where we receive the source codes, where we receive universal intelligence. So when our primary system is aligned and functioning correctly, because what is happening? So the central nervous system or the core network system, when we talk about the brain really is like the part where consciousness can come into form. And so we can start receiving all the universal intelligence embodied. Universal intelligence, source intelligence, is everywhere. The trick is to know how to capture it as good as possible and then to work with it as good as possible for the maximum expression of that life force. And so, as we are training professionals, what is so important before even starting with anything when you're working with a patient is the presence of the source practitioner. What does that mean? It is so important that as a practitioner, as a person who is going to be in service of another human, of another animal, that we as practitioners are totally aligned, totally present, and that we are ourselves aligned with source consciousness. Because we are just that conduit. We are talking about consciousness interfacing with consciousness. So, our consciousness as a practitioner is interfacing with the consciousness of the receiver. And obviously, that consciousness expresses itself in the vessel, in form. So we work with the form, we work with the physicality, we work with the mental part, we work with the energetical part, we work with the subtle bodies, and obviously, most of all, we work with the universal or source intelligence. So, our vessels, as I said before, we call the body, in our new Vademecum, we call the body a vessel or a conduit. Or we can even call it a biosuit. Okay, so there are different words that we can use. And these words are so important because we must understand, and I'm saying understand, not understand. Okay, we're not standing under. What we're doing here is we are taking in information so we understand. So, what is important in what we do is that our vessel is that conduit, is a crystalline consciousness conduit. Did you see that there was some lightning going on? I love it. And there is a thunder. Universe is saying, yes, guys, you're good on track. So we have a crystalline consciousness conduit. And I will talk about the crystalline part another day. We, as a conduit, we are just present with our receiver, with our patient, with our client, however you want to call it. We in our Vademecum, we call it the receiver, because when we talk about patient, in mainstream medicine, there is doctor, there's patient. And I, as a doctor, I have lived that. I have lived that hierarchy when people come and they say, hey, just fix this, fix me, fix this person, fix my animal. Now, when we are working with source consciousness at the level that we work on, there's no hierarchy. There is no doctor who says what has to be done for this body. It's a dynamic system. What does that mean, dynamic system? Is that it is the connection between the two parts of consciousness that are in the form, that at that now moment when they connect, there is that interaction. So there is nothing static about that interaction. It's very dynamic, it's very in flow, it's very right here and right now. There is no protocol. Even though we teach you certain protocols, I always say I teach you these protocols and then you can break them. It's important to have a certain structure for the brain, so to say, to take the information in. It's more the mind needs to structure it. And then once that you are with the receiver, with the other person, with the other being, then you can really flow into what is coming up. Like I said, it's not patient and doctor says we'll do this and that and that and that. It is two beings connecting, and then there is that interaction. Obviously, the interaction is guided by the practitioner, because it's the practitioner who takes charge over the situation without taking charge. It's not something of a doing as such, it is the connection. And then automatically, as you have embodied all the techniques in the mind and the body, you just start flowing with what comes. So, therefore, it's very important that the practitioner is totally present. What does that mean? That when you have your client coming in, did you see that again? That was amazing. Okay, here I am again. That was fun. You see, we had a lightning strike, and then suddenly no electricity anymore. You see how important the electricity is? That is also something that we work on in the source codes, the importance of the electricity for the vessel. I'll talk about that another day. So I'm going step by step first. So, the presence of the source practitioner. So the source practitioner really needs to be present. And what is it to be present? Well, first of all, leave all your devices aside. And then we go into that space of oneness with ourselves. So we learn these techniques. It's a certain breathing technique, it's a meditation technique, very down to earth, very grounded. It's a grounding technique also. So you're able to really be fully present with your receiver. And fully present doesn't only mean that you physically are there present. It is more of a awareness. It's more of a presence from consciousness. And also a part, what is very important, is the energetic presence and also your stability, your anchoring in. Because we know that life, it's all about energy. And I've spoken about that before, and I'll keep on saying that. It's energy that is vibrating. Everything is energy, comes from source. And then it comes down and down and down, and it starts vibrating at a slower rate. And as it vibrates at a slower rate, it comes into form. The atoms come into form when they vibrate at a slower rate. When it's vibrating at a quicker rate, at a certain frequency bandwidth that your eyes are attuned to, you won't be able to see a physicality of the atoms who are spinning very quickly. So you see my finger now, that is a representation of energy moving slowly. But then when I do like this, there is a moment that you don't even see my finger anymore because it's going so quickly that it looks like it's not even there. And that is one of the 7 Hermetic principles. And also in the source codes, we will talk about that. Because here on Earth, whoa, that was loud. Probably another one will come. Not sure whether you guys hear that, but I certainly do. So in the source codes, we'll also talk about the 7 Hermetic principles because they're very important to know, because that way you can apply them to your daily life and also apply them to the work that you're doing with your receiver. So being present is very important. And when we connect with the other being, we are just there present. We don't look for anything. Because when we look for something, you are hooking that in. You're looking for something, and that something is such a little speck in the spectrum of the everything. So when you're looking for something specific, you're losing out on the rest. You're losing out on the bigger picture. You're losing out on all the other possibilities that are there. So we just connect with the other being. We stay in our presence and we just observe. It's all about observing. So we observe, we just observe what's happening, what is not happening, without judgment. When something comes up, you just observe again. A being, consciousness, is observing. Everything else is falling into polarity and duality. So when you just observe, then you allow the other being to unfold how its universal intelligence embodied wants to unfold. So we are that silent mirror for the other being. And that way, as I said, it can open itself up. There is no restrictions. There is no looking for something. There is no judgment. There is no trying to put it in a certain situation. It's just about being there and giving the other person, the animal, the other, your receiver, the opportunity to open him or self up. Another very important part of our new Vademecum in Source University is the fact of just allowing the other being just to expand and to show what's going on. And so where I'm going with that is that there is a cellular intelligence. And I want to talk more profoundly about that later on. So there is a cellular intelligence. Every cell of our body has a certain vibration, has a certain charge, because every cell has an electrical charge. Every cell has its specific information in order to become a specific cell. We know that everything comes from an ovum and a sperm. They come together. Both of them have all the source information to make a new being. They come from two cells. How does every cell that comes from stem cells, from the primary cell, how do they know how to turn into a liver cell, a skin cell, a heart cell? It is because there is cellular coding and there is cellular intelligence. And that cellular intelligence is source intelligence incorporated in the physicality. So we just allow the system, we allow the cells, we allow the atoms to express themselves, and that way to explore themselves with the help of us. That doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. Of course, we guide the system. We help the system in one way and into another, but we're not forcing it into anything. We're not putting it in a little box. We're allowing it to open. And that is why the presence and how to be with your receiver is so important. So it's more about beingness. Obviously, we move, we do things, we check and everything, but it's from a state of being. It's not so much of a state of doing. The doing automatically flows out of the being. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure that makes sense. I know that I'm not talking to just all of you as in your human form. I'm really talking to your higher self, to your oversoul. And I know that you get it. I'm sure that some of you suddenly have a feeling of, oh my God, that makes sense. That would be more of a mental aha moment. Others can really feel that something is going on in your vessel. So tune into that. It's so important to really tune into what your vessel is showing you. And then again, then we just go from an observatory standpoint. We just observe objectively. And that way, that consciousness can open up and expand. And that is what it's all about. So that is what I wanted to share today around the presence of the source practitioner. We see each other tomorrow, and I'll have another amazing topic to talk about. Lots of love to you. Greetings from Source. Bye bye.